Shut up and sit down.
Hey Lance, why so much chamois cream?
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Hey Evan, where's Lance? He didn't show up to the ride today.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Lee Grand, Evan Price, Lance Hapler, and Jake Von Turing. Happy Halloween.
But Matt, this Swift session hurts so bad.
Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
Now clear your minds. It knows what scares you. It has from the very beginning. Don't give it any help. It knows too much already.
Jake, your Strava waits for you. Evan, oh Evan, up for a swim?
And there's no more room in hell. The
Dial Podcast team.
will walk here.
You're gonna be just fine. I'm your number one fan.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I am Jake Von Turing, and I'm here with Lance Epler.
Lance, no pants in the studio.
No pants.
No
dress.
pants.
Maybe a dress, but
Yeah,
no
I was in
pants.
a dress.
More to come on that.
What pants
yeah.
were you wearing a second ago?
Oh, air relax pants.
Yes.
To his right, Evan Price.
Matt, what are you drinking right now?
I don't even know.
I
won
actually
this.
don't know either.
Yeah, I won this bet against Evan, and it was like Eddie Murphy's age. I don't even know why we were talking about it.
I don't know how we got
meant
the
to
topic,
ask
but
that.
Oh no,
Where did that come
we
from?
started talking about VHS movies.
Yep.
And then somebody mentioned their favorite movies that you had on VHS, which was what was the Eddie Murphy
I don't
movie?
know.
It was an Eddie
Dr.
Murphy
Dolittle
movie.
or something?
Were
I
you
have no
listening
idea.
to your wife? Your wife was
No,
going into
I can tune
detail
her
on
out.
her favorite Eddie Murphy movies.
So then it was somehow came about like that. You thought Eddie Murphy was like 40 years old. He was like, he
no,
doesn't age.
I said like 48, I think, or something.
Yeah, and I was like, no way, because that means he's like my age. And then we had an over/under bet of 55.
55, yeah.
Yeah, and
He's
so I won.
58?
He's 58, and I won a nice cup of coffee. So Evan, thank you so much. That's what I'm sipping on.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And to Evan's right, international YouTube star, Mr. Matt LeGrand.
Oh. What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys are looking good.
1K?
You're looking good. Yes.
Did we finally cross the
Crossed-
1K?
We're celebrating right now.
Oh,
It
it's a
happened.
celebration.
We are celebrating right now.
Are you over 1,000 now, or is it still 1,000 on the dot?
Oh, he's 1K, man.
I don't know.
It says on the channel 1K.
It
So you're
just
gonna
says
retire
1K.
now, right?
It doesn't say like 1,003 or something.
It
No, it just says 1K. So it could be
1,001.
1K.
He could get 1,999 for all I know, yeah.
I think I'm exactly 1,000, but I can probably pull up the exact number.
Hey, Lance, go and follow him real quick.
I should unfollow.
Yeah.
Matt, I've heard that once you hit the 1K, it's a real quick ascension to 1 million. I've heard
Or
just,
no,
like,
or the
overnight.
opposite. We don't know.
Or you drop straight back down.
I'm exactly 1,000.
Oh, nobody listening to this unsubscribe,
Nobody
please.
unsubscribe.
Please,
Any
nobody
unsubscribers,
unsubscribe.
I'm going to cry myself to sleep tonight.
Oh, that's funny.
You might do that anyway.
Yes, there's a good chance of that, yeah.
That's what fame does to you, right?
All right.
Jake, how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Okay.
Yeah, not too bad.
Do you want to backpedal for us?
You want me to backpedal first?
What?
Let's do that.
Holy
Would that be crazy?
I love it.
Matt gets to
Would that be
1,000
crazy?
views, and now he thinks he can just control the
can't.
podcast.
Just took over the world.
I can, and I did.
It's real quick and simple. I rode on Zwift 5 times, rode outside 1 time on my mountain bike, which I could barely turn the pedals over because my legs were so tired. It was a recovery week for me, but I did go to a crap ton of soccer and baseball games this week.
Are you recovering from your mega over, like
MS
whatever?
150?
MS 150 in California?
A little bit, but that was kind of
The plan.
towards the end of a training
Okay.
block. I was about 5 or 6 weeks in, and that's usually about when I will take a recovery block.
Okay.
So, yeah, I felt pretty good for that ride, and it was just time for this week to be a recovery week, and I was kind of crossing my fingers and hoping that I wasn't getting sick. I mentioned that to my wife, who is neurotic about people being sick, and she doesn't want that in the house, and she herself was sick, so that's why I was kind of thinking maybe I was getting sick, but she's been pumping me full of all kinds of vitamins.
Did you
and
get
whatnot.
banned to the couch?
No, I did not. If I was throwing up, though,
You would get banned to the
I would
couch.
get banned. I would have to go sleep in the guest room.
place.
Well, actually, yeah, I'd probably have to go sleep on the couch because
Because your guest room is filled right now.
Yeah, so Good stuff. Matt, how about you? How was your week,
Oh,
Matt?
right back at you.
Yeah. Touche.
Yes.
I don't know when we're going to get asses.
I have been doing a lot of swimming, and swimming's going well. I haven't been riding a ton. Running a little bit. I've run a couple times. Achilles feels okay-ish. I trust it.
I know when I talked to you last night, it felt okay.
Yeah,
Is it still okay today?
Yeah, it's okay-ish.
Okay.
I don't really trust it 100%, but...
Did that pirate leg come from Amazon yet?
Yeah, I know, right? One of those little carbon fiber pirate leg things. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. We'll bounce around the cross-country field.
May throw off your gait a
Yep.
little bit. But
2 more weeks of cross-country, and then freedom.
I heard you have a new trainer set up.
Yeah.
Sweet. You got any bike for the trainer?
So Jake was so nice. It was really nice of him. Yesterday, I think it was, after your mountain bike ride, you came over and helped me take apart the busted TT bike. So
I was so tired. I saw that text. I'm like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity for me just to cut it short and help Matt out real quick.
Yeah, I couldn't get one of the bolts loose, and I don't know how you did it. Like I stepped away for a second, and Jake just fixed it.
I can't tell you all my trade secrets.
It
Matt.
was like it was magical. I'm pretty sure. Sprinkled some.
Do you think Trek listens to this podcast?
I'm pretty sure they do. And
Matt, how do you feel about
Would
Trek?
you like to ask him a question? Well, just nicely. You can ask it nicely.
Yeah, I mean.
Trek,
I got some broken Trek parts that I need fixed. Trek. Any help would be wonderful.
Broken body parts, too.
Broken body parts. Yes.
Matt, we've talked about this. If when you were descending, you just weren't holding onto your handlebars, this would have never happened.
Yeah, that's true.
Those aero bars aren't for like leaning on. They're just there for looks, just to make the bike look fast.
Next time, just don't put pressure on it.
One of the emails I got from Trek was like, well, there is a lot of force when you're on the aero bars like that. And I'm like, okay.
No,
well, does that mean that it should break?
Just put less pressure through your forearms.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Don't use the aero bars that are on the bike. You know?
They're there for looks, Matt, not for function.
They do look good, Trek.
Stay tuned for a video.
Yeah.
Wait, Officer Matt, I thought that you...
that's true. I did a family run.
Yes.
Sorry. Thank you for helping me out. We did a family Halloween run. I ran a 33-minute 5K, I think. So
sweet.
Dropped to 6:30 though, right? Chasing after a child.
So in Lance full fashion, I'll tell a story about that. Coming up to 2 mile mark, I somehow noticed that the majority of my family was in front of me. My wife's pushing a stroller, but she's fast. And
carrying a child too.
Carrying a child.
One on her hip.
Yeah. And I was running with my 7-year-old. So we were doing pretty well. We were moving pretty well. But then all of a sudden I saw my wife stop, and I noticed that she was going over to kind of the side of the course where an athlete had collapsed, and we assumed it was a heart attack, right? Because the guy fit the bill for a heart attack.
Yeah.
And so my plan was like, okay, well, I'll just go down there. I'll send the rest of the kids like, go keep running or whatever, and I'll catch up. Let me go grab the littlest kid, put him on my hip, and put him in the stroller, and that way my wife can be a doctor.
Yep.
Yeah. And doctor it up. And so I went down there, and my littlest kid was like, no, I don't want you, Daddy. I'm staying with Mom. And I was like, okay, great. So then I just was like, he's your problem now. That's basically the answer to that one. So then and she was like, it's fine. I can hold him and still do this. And I all right, so I'm going to go chase down the boys. And so that just required, the boys were moving well, my older boys. And so I had to crank out like a 6:30 to catch them.
Drop your dad, Ethan. Go.
I was flying, and I was passing people, and they were just like, what is this guy coming up like so fast? Because it's in the back of the pack, and you're just flying past people.
Right.
Which is fun.
Was that a more fun way to race? Do you want to do that from now on?
No, because you're just like, I hope my kids aren't killing themselves right now, because they're young kids, and you just want to. When you're a parent, you're just like, gotta make sure, gotta watch my kids or whatever. And they were moving fast, so I had to haul it to catch up to them. But family 5K.
And you were in costume.
Yes.
You were like dressed as
I was dressed as a sheriff.
As a sheriff.
And my wife was dressed as a robber, which made for a good kind of like couple
fun.
costume.
Did she mug the guy while she was at it?
She did take his wallet. Yeah.
Was the guy okay?
Yeah, I was going to say, am I the only one who wants to know how the guy ended up?
I thought you wanted to hear about my 6:30 mile.
But he ran a 6:30 mile in his sheriff's outfit.
That's all it takes.
No.
Somebody getting injured on the side of the road for Matt to open it up.
So I think it turns out that the guy had just stepped off the curb and fallen, and then didn't want any assistance because he didn't have insurance. So that's what I was told, but I didn't know any of that until significantly later. So I was talking to the race director, and I was like, I think you had an athlete go down, and she was like, uh-oh. Freaking out. But.
So were you halfway through that mile thinking there's a guy who just had a heart attack back there, but I'm at a pretty solid pace right now. I gotta keep on clicking over.
Look at that. Look at those splits, baby.
Don't worry, I'll go help him in 3 minutes and 20 seconds as soon as I close out this mile.
Let me just finish out this mile, and then we'll maybe call ambulance or something. Yeah.
That outfit was pretty spectacular.
Yeah,
Matt.
it was good.
The mustache
Oh,
was
I like it.
on point.
So that outfit actually. So I don't know if any of our listeners are familiar with Reno 911. It's a
Awesome show.
old show on Comedy Central.
Shorts.
Yeah, and so I don't remember what the guy's deputy
Officer Dangle.
Dangle, yeah, that's right. And Deputy Dangle or Officer Dangle.
I think it's Officer.
And
Let me look it
so
up.
I had this outfit and I've had it for a long time. And so I used to break it out all the time, but the shorts are super short and inappropriate. And it was
Lieutenant Dangle. My bad.
Lieutenant Dangle. And the weather was really cold, so I decided to wear like running pants and just the top or whatever. But yeah, usually I'll break out the short shorts too.
Yeah, because it's funny.
It's funny. It's funny.
It's really, since that show's been around, that is maybe one of the most classic Halloween costumes since that show.
I love that. Yeah, well,
one of the more recognizable
I
ones.
wore it for my brother's bachelor party.
Wait, what?
And
were you the entertainment?
So here's, it's funny. I shouldn't tell this kind of stories on.
Oh, you
on
should
air,
though.
But so I told my brother, I was like, oh, my wife's pregnant. I can't make it to your bachelor party in Las Vegas. And then I flew in, and then I was wearing that outfit. And my little brother, they'd already been drinking in the hotel room, and he was like, "Did you guys get?" He didn't recognize me because I had this whole get up on. He goes, "Did you guys get me a male stripper?"
You knocked on the door and he opens it.
I knocked on the door and I said, "You guys are being too loud. This is Officer Dangle or whatever it was."
It's Lieutenant Dangle.
Lieutenant Dangle. Yep. So good times were had at his bachelor party for sure. Did you guys get me a male stripper? I can't believe he didn't recognize me. Yep. That's my backpedal.
All right, let's continue moving around the table.
Speaking of costumes,
Clockwise fashion. What?
Speaking of costumes, Lance, backpedal.
Yeah, let's go to Lance's backpedal.
Okay.
You want to go to me or do you want to go?
I was
going to
save
first?
Lance for last, but
Mine's a quick 2-seconder.
go then, Evan.
Instead of swimming a bunch, I rode a bunch. I was also at the Washougal Dike where Matt was racing, but I was riding a gravel bike and it was fun.
And you're a big fan of gravel bikes now.
I love gravel bikes now.
Maybe
I'm not good
buy
at
one?
them, but I like it. I'm using Bob's now.
You think you'll buy one ever?
I want to just buy this off Bob for way more than it's worth because it's been so much more fun.
Yeah,
Cool. I just want to give him
disc
all
brakes
my
or
money
anything,
for it.
or
Disc brakes on it. Yep.
Oh, okay.
It's an awesome bike. Love
Good.
it.
No pants. Backpedal for us.
All right.
Did you wear pants this week?
Put your pants back on, Lance. Come on.
I need to put some pants back on. So big thing this week was I actually raced a couple times. I did the cyclocross crusade. I raced twice.
Okay.
So there was this was the big weekend down in Bend where everybody races very seriously on Saturday. And it's really difficult. And then everybody also races on Sunday, but you need to wear a costume to race on Sunday. You don't need to, but
everyone does.
Everyone does.
And your costume was probably one of the most tame. There's some pretty intense costumes.
Mine was quite tame.
Yeah.
I think I saw a guy with about a 3 foot in diameter, like Millennium Falcon on his
That is
head.
correct.
That thing was massive.
Yes.
How was he keeping himself upright?
So it was on his head, but it was braced on his back.
Uh-huh.
Wow. So he had like a wedge under his back, like behind his helmet. So
it's kind of like a halo attached to his torso. Kind of thing.
It was a 4 foot diameter
4 foot.
Millennium
Okay.
Falcon.
Yeah.
It's probably hard to pass a guy like that.
Yeah. The guys that were in like difficult costumes were just
back.
just screwing off in the back, just having a
But
good time.
we were looking at the video. There's some tight turns.
Yes, there was a guy who was a hot air balloon and had he had like a 4 foot diameter hot air balloon above his head. Wow. It was like sitting on some kind of apparatus.
Was it aerodynamic?
No.
Are you sure?
Was it aerodynamic? No, he wind tunnel tested it before the race.
It's a hot air balloon. It's not aerodynamic.
There was a guy. The Planet X team had a space theme, cool. So everybody was in like spaceman outfits or NASA outfits, and one guy had a 4 foot rocket on top of him.
Oh my gosh!
It said awesome. USA on him. Like it was like 3 feet around and 4 feet high. It was this. I was just impressed.
That's awesome.
It was just hilarious. There was another guy who was on a folding bike. He was like in a suit and tie, and when he rode up to the run up. He stopped, got off, folded his bike all up, put it on his back, and ran up the thing, and then unfolded it and jumped back on.
That's so cool.
It was pretty hilarious.
And everyone wants to know: did you wear pants?
I did not wear pants. Well, kind of.
It was pretty cold, wasn't it?
It was 26 degrees.
Oh my God.
You stepped it up for the.
It was really cold, so I wore the homecoming dress with a homecoming queen sash, and a big blonde wig, pulled,
which you could
back.
barely see because of your helmet.
Yes, you couldn't see it unless you were behind me. Yeah,
that counts though. It's good.
But
extra effort for the details.
My plan was just to wear the dress, very short with a Speedo underneath it. It would have been hilarious. But at 28 degrees, I wore full tights underneath it.
Oh, really? I didn't even notice from the pictures.
I wore full leg tights and a long sleeve top thing. There was one guy who did wear just an American flag Speedo, which was hilarious. It had his
nothing else.
Nothing else
in 26-degree weather.
Yes.
Wow, that guy deserves a medal. That's impressive.
Wow. It was like I woke up. I was boondocking. I was camping with just me and the dog out in the woods.
Oh, okay.
And I woke up and there was snow on the ground. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Ben's had a cold couple of weeks.
It's gonna be cold. So yeah, it was hilarious. The racing was hilarious. It was like the funnest weekend I've had in a long time.
Good.
We had lots of teammates out there. Not as many made the trip as we hoped. The numbers were down a little bit.
Oh, really?
Overall, and I don't know if it's just because there was a points race up in the Olympia area where you could get UCI points, I believe, and so that pulled some people.
Yeah.
And Ben's 3 hours from Portland, and so that's harder for people to get out.
Cold weekend.
Yeah. So we just had an absolute blast.
Before you move on to the other race, the serious race, if you will, how did you end up in the costume race? What place?
So the costume race, there was 50 in our field.
Uh-huh.
I did not get a call up. Because I'm not in the numbers for call up.
Sure.
So I started in like 25th or 26th, right in the middle of the pack, and I had set up my costume so I could still race fast.
Yeah.
And I gassed it. I went for it. I took 6th.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Moved up 21 places.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I took 6th. I think I picked the start chute fairly well. I just picked the right side before the first corner, and so by the first technical section, I was in like 8th place and was able to pick off a couple more guys. But it was, not an easy course. It was a very technical course. I found that I do a little better if it's more technical.
Yeah.
And so I can just pull away from some people, which is more technical.
You looked pretty solid in those turns from the video me and Matt were watching. So, yeah.
And I will say my lap times were just as fast in the dress as they were the day before, not in the dress.
Maybe there's something there.
So maybe there's something there.
Maybe you should wear a dress all the time.
Maybe I should wear the dress every time.
Maybe
the sash though.
Maybe it's like the dimples on a golf ball kind of make the golf ball go.
Right, and go a little
maybe
faster.
The fluttering of the dress and the sash helped that.
Pretty sure.
It was
the day before your race.
The day before I raced as well. Same situation. I was mid-pack at the start, but also ended up 6th that day.
Wow!
So I had 2 top
That's
10
a good
finishes.
weekend.
Yeah. So it's moved me into 9th overall. So I should have a call up now.
Yeah.
So I'm in 9th for the whole series.
And there's 2 more races to go from them.
3 more races.
Okay.
So and your goal is just as high. I mean, your goal is top 10. So like your goal is just to get as high now as possible.
I would really hope that I can stay in the top 10 because the top 10 get a call up that first weekend the following year.
Okay.
That would be nice to have.
That would be nice to have a call up already for next year.
Well, for the team too, you're trying to get the highest finishes as you possibly can,
the highest finishes for
so
the
we
team.
can get some team points, so that the team can get a call up next year if we win that competition.
We're trying to do that too,
and it's close.
It is close. We're behind Deschutes Brewery right now a little bit. They still beat us on Saturday and Sunday.
That was their backyard, though.
That is their backyard. Yeah.
Yep. They had a lot more people there. So, but
good.
So
I'm glad Dial doesn't win everything. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
like rooting against my own team. I'm like, my gosh, you guys win everything. Quit winning all the time.
Well, it's difficult. Like, the fastest guys on the teams, we're lucky to be in the top 10 in our races. Mm-hmm. And our juniors and the Cat 4s or Cat 3s are killing it for us.
That helps. Yeah.
And the guys that are 2s and 1s, we're are struggling.
Was Hayden down there?
He was.
How'd he do?
He raced the men's 1-2 field on Saturday and did well. Didn't have any mechanicals.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I wonder if the new wheel switch is helping him.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Because he kept flatting or something.
It was a difficult wheel choice or tire choice weekend because there was all this soft grass that you needed some tread to be able to make turns in, but then there was also lots of gravel, like a lot of gravel corners
sections.
So if you had too much tire pressure, you would skid out on the gravel sections. If you just had file treads on, you didn't do well in the grass. So you kind of had to go middle ground.
What'd you go PSI? Are you allowed to share that?
Yeah,
it's top secret.
I've been riding a mud tire on everything that has quite a bit of tread on it, and I ride like 25 psi. Yeah, and I'm 185 pounds.
I've been having to make that. Like I've been riding at like 40 lately, and I realized I was like, that's way too much. But to me, like 40 seems like whoa, that's incredibly low.
It depends on the volume of the tire too. I'm riding 33 tires.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And a lot of times gravel tires will be 40s. So you can go a little lower on the 40s and still be fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I was a video on that.
I was super happy with how the weekend rolled out for me, that I got a couple of 6th places. So it was awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah. Team had fun.
Well done.
Thank you.
Our tents didn't fare so well,
I was
though.
about to ask about the tent.
Yeah.
So
team tent.
The team tents. We set them all up on Friday. The races are on Saturday and Sunday. After the race on Saturday, the Cross Crusade people are there at the course, changing the course a little bit. There were just a few minor changes they made for the next day. And during that time, a little squall blew through the area with some high winds. And our tents, even though they were lowered and staked to the ground, the wind caught the canopies and ripped them right off the legs.
The aluminum tore, like it sheared.
Snacks,
It
right?
sheared.
Yeah. The aluminum sheared. Yeah. And it blew across. It blew across the course, took out a bunch of other tents, and hit some cars. Actually, yeah. It was. We got like an emergency message. Hey,
your tents.
Yeah, and the Cross Crusade people, they went through and took everybody's tent down. Like they didn't have 100 other things going on, changing the course.
But what else do you do?
Yeah.
They're going all over the place if you don't do it. So
they like took, because everybody left their tents up. They just, weighted them down or staked them down because that's normally
all you need.
Good enough.
Yeah. What was left was 4 legs from 2 tents.
Correct.
So 8 legs stuck into the ground.
Staked into the ground.
Staked there, still there, but the tops were gone. They just sheared off.
Did you guys just toss the tent? Like what was left
the
of it?
canopies are still good. The custom printed canopies are still good.
Which is expensive.
But the frames are shot.
Well, that's good then.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like replacing it, because the canopy is more expensive than the actual frame. So.
Yeah, so we just went tentless, and it was
tentless.
It was cold, but it was
pantsless and
tentless
on a 26-degree day.
All right, how about we jump into some Leadout news? Lance, do you have
winners?
Winners from,
I do.
From this past weekend. Why don't we just run through that real quick? I don't think we have too much else to talk about.
So day 1 at Cross Crusade in Bend, the men's 1-2 field was actually won by Carl Decker.
Okay, great.
Yeah, Carl Decker doesn't do a whole lot of cross races, but he lives in Bend. He's from Bend.
Okay.
He's won that race a lot in the past, and so he ripped in there. And
do you recall how old he is?
He's 48. I'll tell you right now.
Isn't that awesome that you could be 48 years old?
45.
45?
He's 45.
He's almost as old as Eddie Murphy.
You're 45 though, and still like handling your business out there in the 1-2 class. That's fantastic.
Yeah, Carl Decker took first. Jacob Rathie took second, who's 29, and Sean Babcock took third. That was on the first day. The women was won by Sophie Russenberger, and then second was Allison Halpin, and third Serena Bishop Gordon. On day 2, and again, even though everybody's in costume, there was like the top 15 people were seriously racing.
Oh yeah.
Were they in costume though?
It's a cycling
Yes.
race. There's going to be people actually racing, no matter what.
Yeah, in costume. I mean, I think a lot of people think about what costume can I wear, but
How
it needs to be
aerodynamic
functional.
race.
I'm going to dress up
Functional.
as a golf ball.
No, yeah, it's a golf ball. Actually, that's a good idea.
On day 2, it was won by Jacob Rathie, who was in a cat costume. He had a tail and full makeup. Second place was Christopher Jones. He is from Bend. He had on some kind of funky tights and something else. I was disappointed in his costume. And
Lance Epler does not approve.
Oh,
Tell the truth. How do you really feel?
calling it out. Okay. We're going to have to have him on next week. He's got to defend himself.
Then third place was Carl Decker. He took third, and he was in a full yellow suit, like a
Curious George
banana suit?
what?
Wow.
No, like
Curious
a,
George?
No, like from the 80s. He had on like Max Headroom from the 80s.
Okay.
That's cool.
Like a 2-piece suit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Like pants and,
Like
and a
MC Hammer?
jacket.
Like
no,
Hammer Time?
No, not like Hammer Time.
That's
Like
what I'm picturing. Okay.
you know, like a pinstripe suit you go to church in.
Ah,
but
got
it was
it.
yellow.
I was born in 90.
And he was
This
wearing these
not-
funky glasses. His costume was fantastic, and like Josh Kelly was in Lederhosen, and
That's good.
yeah.
Lederhosen would be a very good racing thing to wear. Maybe even better than a dress.
Yeah.
So it was
You gotta
fun,
hike it up.
and they were serious. They were going for it. They were racing.
not messing around.
They were not messing around. I think Barry Wicks, who also he's usually in the mix. He was in like a full dinosaur
Oh yeah.
outfit that
That's
covered
hard.
his whole head.
That's
He
impressive.
raced
I
it.
love those
Yeah,
things.
it was
should,
hilarious.
Should we send you next year down to that wind tunnel place so that like the
I
week
can test
before
my-
we can test 6 or 7 different
dresses.
costumes?
Yeah.
Get the
I know.
best costume.
The guy who placed just in front of me in my field, he was in a full silver jumpsuit, but he had a shark balloon trailing him, a helium shark balloon that
Oh,
was
cool.
like just tied to a seat. It was just floating around behind him.
At least you know where he's in the field. You can tell wherever he is.
That's awesome.
It was awesome. So
Probably not that bad.
I couldn't catch him. He beat me with trailing a balloon.
Running from a shark, man. What do you expect?
He's always going to beat you when he has that shark chasing him like that.
The balloon did rip off on like the third lap, but it was still friggin' hilarious. So it made me laugh.
How about the women's field?
The women's field on day 2 and was won by Beth Ann Orton, and I believe that she was in a Baby Shark. Baby Shark
Baby Shark
outfit.
is a Baby
good
Shark
for
is a
her.
meme of some
That's
sort,
awesome.
right?
It's
a
a
song.
song.
It's a
Yeah.
song. You should know this.
Well,
You have children.
It's a meme song.
She has
My
voice,
kids don't know
though.
about it.
Oh, they don't? Really?
They don't know about Baby Shark.
You have sheltered them well, my friend.
Have you not
I
shown
got
them Baby
destroyed by
Shark?
that.
Yeah.
Let's
do your
just
kids not
all
know?
keep it quiet. And
She had
Should I share this with them?
yeah, please do. I'm going
had
to send them
it.
to your house too.
Beth Ann Orton had a little speaker on her that was playing the Baby
Oh,
Shark song
no, that's awesome.
as she was racing.
That's good because it's timely, right?
Oh yeah, it was hilarious. Second was Serena Bishop Gordon, and third was Sophie Russenberger. And honestly, I don't remember what they were wearing.
The Baby Shark costume takes.
Yeah.
There's no way that anybody's
Yeah.
beating that. So, yeah.
It was hilarious. Good
Cool.
times.
Did you guys hear that Chris Froom's going in for surgery again?
Oh no.
Oh, really?
No, it's not bad though. I mean,
What is
it's
it?
just to take out all the hardware that he has in him.
Oh, I mean, he's got
all the
yeah.
screws and rods and whatnot. So,
Okay.
I saw that he was riding out in the rain with his team, and I was like, ew, those conditions look rough.
Didn't he do the crit in Japan?
Maybe that's
I
what
think
it was.
so. Yeah.
He did the
That was the
crit.
one that was really rough weather, right?
Post-tour
I think
crits.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have respect for that. I mean, the fact
Yeah.
that he went through what he
Good
went
for
through,
him. Yep.
and how badly injured he was. I
Yep.
mean,
I'm sorry, but I like Chris Froome. I know everyone
No, I
there's
like
a
him
lot
too.
of hate for Chris Froome. I've always liked him. I like him.
Everybody hates the winner.
I know
If you-
people
if
just like
you-
the winners, but
If you
I think
watch like biographies on Chris, like he seems like a genuinely
Super
nice
mellow.
guy.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, very nice guy.
Yeah.
He does a lot of charity work too. Like he's yeah.
if he comes back, I'm gonna pull for him. You know,
It'd be a great comeback story.
I'm sure he's never going to ride a TT bike without his hands again, though. That is for sure.
GT and Bernal are both saying that they're going to support him for the tour next
Really?
year. Yeah.
Cool.
wow.
Cool.
The two former winners.
Yep.
Are they really?
I'll believe that when I
gonna
see it.
Support
but
him.
That's
I know.
Well, I'm sure they'll support him to a certain degree. If he starts to falter, then they'll just you know,
Garant
Bernal's going to
supported
support him until he feels
Bernal.
good to attack.
yeah, he did.
Yeah, Those guys are.
did?
I think.
Yeah. I mean, once he knew he didn't have it, he supported Bernal.
Yeah, but there was one point where he was leading the group that was chasing Bernal.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, I know what you mean. Like, he was saying, I'm supporting Bernal, but I think when brass tacks comes down, like, if they feel good, they're going to push.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll wait and find out.
We're going to have our tour predictions. Yeah. I imagine we'll have our tour predictions.
Is it
tour
July
takeover.
yet?
They did announce the course, and it is quite different this year.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's Climber's Dream, man. Got to be a little mountain goat.
More climbers, fewer time trials.
More landslides.
More just shorter
stages.
Shorter stages. Yeah. Mostly on the southern part of it should be interesting.
All right, let's jump into another listener hot lab, guys. Here we go.
Hello.
Scott, what's up? This is Jake from the Dial Podcast. How are you?
What's up, Scott?
Jake, I'm doing good.
Good. Thanks for coming on today, buddy. You're coming on to join us for our listener hot lap, and the guys have some questions for you. Lance, let's start with you, man.
Scott, why don't you tell us a little bit about your cycling prowess and history?
Ooh, yeah.
Well, I started too late. I'll tell you that. I didn't start till my late 30s. I tried a short track race. Me and Sean Virgillo, we went over there. I think we caught the last week. So it was August. It was 90 degrees and dusty. And we did the men's beginner. And I think he got like 10th and I got 12th. And at the end, he was laying flat on his back saying that was the dumbest thing I ever did. And I was smiling. All I could do was smile. It was so fun.
Nice.
So then the next year I did the whole series, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. To a little bit.
So your entry into cycling as a whole was through cyclocross?
No, short track.
Oh, short track.
Short track, yeah.
So prior to that, you weren't riding bikes at all?
Oh, I've been riding bikes since I was a kid. I was always a BMX mountain bike guy. That's how I got around town. I didn't even have a car when I was a senior, so I just was always either running or riding bikes.
Nice.
But never raced until way later.
Got it.
So fast forward, go over the years. I mean, what disciplines are you racing these days?
A little bit of road, mostly just the PIR stuff, but I love short track. I kind of build my season up to start at short track and then really love cyclocross.
Yeah.
We're in the same category, me and Scott, and I was really looking forward to racing him this year because I think we would have given each other some sweet competition. But tell us what happened, Scott. That didn't really pan out.
Exactly the same feeling. I watched Lance race, and we're both in the 50 plus, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be great because I won the Trophy Cup Series last year, and I wanted someone there with me, and I had a bad meniscus. Really had a sore problem with my knee, and ended up having surgery in 1st of September. And it seems to be good now.
Oh, good.
That's
but
good.
Yeah, so bummed that I couldn't race Lance. That was going to be so fun.
Well, I kept the Trophy Cup win in the family with Dialed Cycling for us, Scott.
We can just assume that Scott would have won.
Yeah.
We'll just make that assumption this season.
Scott's a much better bike handler than I am. He's actually much more technically efficient. So
it's that BMX riding, right, Scott?
Yeah.
Exactly. Evan, do you have some questions for Scott?
Yeah. So, Scott, I know running history for you. Like, how did you use that just as fitness for a while? Or did you actually race like through track and cross country when you were a kid?
I ran cross country all through high school and just absolutely loved it. Mm-hmm. And did road races on the weekends, just your 5 and 10K stuff, and was never that fast. I was the number 5 guy on our cross country team, but I ran like a 17:10 5K, which isn't horrible.
That's good, yeah.
Pretty good for a number 5 guy.
Definitely helped you in cyclocross, probably.
Yeah, and then it was just not so much cycling back then, it just to get around town,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where'd you grow up, Scott?
Port Townsend.
Okay. I'm not from this region. Describe Port Townsend to me.
It's up by Puget
that was
Sound.
where Officer and a Gentleman was filmed.
Oh, nice.
So, and the Fort Worden was about 4 or 5 miles from my house. So every day I would either run or ride my bike to Fort Worden, do a couple of loops, go down through town and then come back home. And it's a nice little town to grow up in.
Good. Mm-hmm. Matt, do you have some questions for Scott?
Since you're a cyclist and a runner, do you think that we should have more triathlon content on this podcast? I mean, wait, how much more? How much more?
Do we have enough or do we need more?
I really respect the triathlete. I really do. And I love watching like the sprint triathletes, and I've been to Kona and I love watching but as soon as you guys start talking about swimming, I'm just like,
so
thank you. Thank you, Scott.
But Scott, what I hear there is 2/3 of the time you're paying attention then, right?
I'm trying to juggle cycling and work and my life. It's like, how could you throw 2 more things in there? Jeez.
Exactly.
You just have to do them all poorly.
Yeah,
that's the best
key
way.
That's the key.
Something's got to suffer. Which one's it going to be?
All of them. Everything.
All right, real quick, my question. What is your favorite segment on the show? But before you answer that question, why do you listen to the Dialed podcast?
You guys are just funny. I mean, you guys are just...
Yeah, that's me. That's
more
all me.
laughing at us.
It's mostly Lance. Yeah, it's mostly Lance. But you're just fun to listen to. I like the content. You guys just kind of play off each other, and it's fun to listen to. And it's fun when people
Yeah.
I do listen to some other podcasts, and they're all very interesting. You can learn a lot of things. Last week, that thing with Rachel McKinnon, that's a tough subject.
Yeah.
Ugh.
We had a 25-minute argument before we started recording today.
It was like we could have pressed record and done an entire an additional episode on the same topic.
Right.
So, yeah.
And it's a lack of education. You could really put your foot in your mouth, but I feel for both sides. It's just tough.
It's kind of a no-win situation, to be honest with you, which is unfortunate. Cool. Questions for us?
What's your favorite segment?
Favorite segment? Oh gosh, I do like the recap of the races.
It's cool. We've had quite a few people say that. That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
The backpedal. It's good because we always were like worried about going on and on about that course, but it's cool that people are okay with it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because I just love racing. I'm a results junkie. Whether it's running, I just watched the Doha Marathon this morning because I hadn't seen that.
Nice.
And, I love to look up the Ober results to see how everyone did because I know so many people. I've been racing for 14, 15 years now, and made a lot of really good friends with the people.
For sure.
That's cool.
For sure. It's going to be fun to see your name back in those results next year. Hopefully I'll be out there with you.
So I think I'm going to do Barton Park.
Oh, really? Knees come along that much to be able to do it, huh?
Wow.
I'm going to hit the last one.
That
Excellent.
would be fun.
Excellent. A couple questions for us. Do you have any?
Not really. I got to go to work.
we had a little bit of difficulty connecting with Scott, so we burned up some of the used time.
Super nice of you to take the time to actually chat with us.
Yeah, I wish I had more time. I'd love to come sit in if you have an empty chair sometime.
That'd be great.
Fun.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, we would like that.
And we do appreciate all of the comments that you give us on social media. That's nice too. It's always good to see your name there chiming in with a little bit of your 2 cents.
Yeah. It was fun when it was live.
We'll get back to that eventually. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was the computer that we're using or if it was the internet connection that I had here, but it just got to the point where it was too choppy. So I've actually been looking into some other means to that, and I'm hoping that we'll have something again soon because that was pretty fun to have that live interaction with folks.
And we're talking about doing a live 100th episode from a bar, like maybe Hopworks or something like that.
Yeah,
so.
and have people come show up and heckle us while we...
A lot of heckling.
Yeah. Be interesting. Cool. All right, Scott, we appreciate your time, man, and we will see you out there racing soon.
Thanks for including me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Scott.
Take care, bud.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
See you later.
Bye. Let us jump into the topic. Recovery.
Oh, boy.
Science and pseudoscience. Evan brought this up to us a couple weeks ago, and we've kind of been dancing around with wanting to do this, and it's something I think is going to make for a great topic. I'm going to let you kind of talk about this a little bit more, Evan.
I just like things where we get to argue at each other.
Yes.
I'm happy to play any role of argument.
Matt does a great job of always devil advocating anything I say, which I like.
Yeah, well, it's
I
fun.
usually need to get checked out basically everything I say. But
so today I brought in
what'd you
a
bring?
pair of Air Relax recovery boots for everyone to try. mostly Lance because he never wears pants. So we try to cover up those legs of his, and I would consider them Normatec knockoffs.
Yes.
The knockoff Normatec brand, and that would be, only because they're probably a fourth the price of Normatec. They kind of do the same thing. This is one of those pseudoscience, like, hey, does air compression, rolling through these air compression boots, how does that help you recover? Is it real science? Is there anything to it, or are we just, selling sugar pills?
So Normatec's claim, and I'll say this because this was years ago, when Nationals for Triathlon was in Milwaukee. This was one of the first years Normatec was out there, or at least out there in the triathlon community. It was the first time I saw them at a race. Now they're at what, Matt? You probably seen them at every race now.
Every Ironman there.
Every Ironman race now.
There's always they're at a lot of places.
Yeah.
And they definitely go after triathletes as a market.
That's kind of the big one, yeah.
And I'm sure they go after some cycling events as well.
Probably.
I've seen them here and there, but
maybe it's more
don't get hammered.
Yeah, it might be
because
more.
we don't run.
Yeah, but I see some of the pro cycling teams. Those guys brought them to the tour, so I think that there were some teams that had them at the tour. But so when I was there with the legs on, I asked the guy. At this time, I think I was an undergraduate still. So I asked the guy who was there genuinely. Now I'm not sure if he was. I don't think that he was one of the
scientists.
Scientists behind the algorithm that is Normatec. But he explained to me that their pneumatic pressure pattern is an algorithm that they've based off lymphatic flow.
Right. It just moves from your feet to your calves to your knees to your quads,
so
and then back down.
Just to give everybody a rough idea of anybody who doesn't know what lymph is, it's the fluid outside of your vessel system that can group in certain areas. Generally, if let's say you've been laying down for a while and then you go and sit and stand for a super long time and your feet start to swell, that would be your lymph system swelling in that region. And then you put your feet up and it drains back down into your vessel flow system. So, I mean, they're basically claiming that they have this proprietary algorithm that is most efficient at pumping that back into your system. Now, do I believe that said guy trying to sell me Normatec has any idea what that algorithm is, or if that algorithm actually is truly well researched, or actually does anything different than a lymphatic massage would do? I don't buy it, but that's just me.
So this particular type of recovery system, and I'm sure we'll talk about more than this, but this has been used for long before Normatec has been in existence, I would think, right? Because
long before,
post-surgical, I mean, this is like one of the standard things, right? Like air compression boots for post-surgical.
They gave you the little ice compression. And Jake, you got one after your surgery, correct? Did they give you one of those little ice compression sleeves?
Well, I had to buy one, but they told me that
you one?
No.
Oh.
They would gladly sell you one to make a few bucks, but they didn't give me anything. Are you referring to which of my injuries are you referring to? My shoulder?
We'll go with the ankle. When
I broke my hip, so I'm in the hospital for both times. They had the air pump things on my legs just to help recover and all that other stuff. And I did have a broken ankle when I got hit by the car, and they were trying to pump things back. They didn't put anything special or specific on me. They didn't even recommend that I have anything like that. They just gave me ice packs as needed for the pain management of my ankle, and they were having me wear those air pump things. I don't even know what they would call those in the hospital, but just to make sure that there was lymphatic flow.
It's basically like a game, quote unquote game ready system, which is just an ice. It's just a compression and ice system. Yeah.
There was no ice a part of my
got it.
That system. So
okay.
It was kind of the same thing too when I broke my hip 6 or 7 years ago. Well, when I got home though, I did purchase for compression's sake, I purchased an ice pack that had the ability to do compression. I was willing to try anything just to help with the pain management because it was so god awful. So,
yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if I answered your question or not.
No, that was basically because I think here's the question that everybody always gets is like, okay, I'm injured, fill an injury here. What should I do, ice or heat? Now, from personal experience from you three, what usually works for you three? Let's say you get back and you crashed and your hip's killing you. What do you put on it? Ice, right? Yeah. Do you think heat's bad?
not right. Right in the beginning, maybe, because there's just so much swelling in there. I feel like it's not going to help alleviate that swelling. But I think that it's important a couple days into it, because that's how you're going to get blood flow back to the area to get those nutrients that your body needs to repair itself. Correct?
This is so. Anecdotally, yeah, it makes complete sense, right? Okay, if you're talking in the acute phase, so let's look at like the 2-3 days after that crash, when that area is hot and swelling and there's redness and it hurts like the dickens. You know, historically, you say let's put ice on that.
Yeah,
because you want to vasoconstrict. Correct. That's the thought process. Basically, is when things get cold, you kind of shrivel up. That's your vessels do the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the thing: is that we've found that actually ice doesn't really penetrate that deep, cooling system wise. Think of your core temperature. How cold do you have to be for your core temperature to actually start coming down? Let's say you're sitting at like 98, 99 degrees or whatever is your core temperature. For vasoconstriction and dilation to really happen at a deep core level, when we're talking about that, system, let's say at your hip, like that deep venous system at your hip,
yep.
Your core temperature would have to drop. That's pretty cold. So there is a group out there, and I'm just giving the group thoughts out there. There's a group out there saying that ice is purely for pain relief in the acute phase.
Okay.
Purely. And the reason being, temperature and pain run the same neural pathway. So that's why when you put ice on something, all of a sudden you're like, okay, this doesn't hurt as much. It's literally it's miscommunication to your brain.
Okay.
It's trying to interrupt that pain
I'm sure there's
signal.
numbness, right? I mean,
yeah,
we've all used ice to numb a certain spot.
Exactly. Yep. Same idea. You're basically just interrupting that pain signal. That's my opinion on it. There are people out there, I'm sure, still believe like, hey,
Wait, so this is Evan science?
This is Evan science.
There's bro science.
This is also science for people a lot smarter on that than me, who've done quite a bit more research.
I know they've done a lot of research on ice baths for athletes, and it has been pretty hit or miss. You know, as far as like they can't decide whether or not it helps at all.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to err on the side of it doesn't help because they suck.
Yeah.
they hurt.
They're just not
well,
fun
and
at all.
And that's always the question that, Matt, this was the conversation we were having last night is, what was this? Was I having this with you when we were talking about recovery of if somebody is offering you something recovery-wise that is very expensive, like placebos are great. Placebos work. There's research out there that placebos work.
Placebos are great.
Placebos are great.
I love a good placebo.
Placebos are awesome. There's not to go back to the book that I'm reading, but the book I'm reading about Jacques Anquetil.
Oh, yeah.
The guy saw a witch doctor his entire career who literally just touched him. No, I'm not making this up. They said before a race, he had the doctor touch his neck because I think he had bronchitis. And then he went out and won the race. And he was convinced that the doctor healed his bronchitis by touching his neck. Placebo works. But if that placebo costs $3,000 to $4,000, I feel I'm more careful to say probably it doesn't work to the level that you think it does.
Okay, here's what I want to know.
Yeah.
You have a multi-day stage race, or I'm racing 2 days in a row, or I have a really hard effort, or we're at training camp and we've gone really hard one day and we know we're going to go hard the next day. What do you do that night? Do you do ice? Do you do heat? Do you do the Normatec type boots? Do you leg massage? Do you use the stick and roll out your calves? Do you lay with your feet up? What do you guys do?
Number one thing you should do: sleep.
Sleep is my number one as well.
And you could skip. You could probably do all that stuff or skip it. It'd probably be the exact same. All that stuff.
Here's the difference: you can buy the most expensive Normatec boots and sleep 7 hours that night, and not buy those Normatec boots and sleep 9 hours that night. I'm going to take the guy who slept 9 hours that night.
Just so you know, Normatec boots are $1,295.
Oh, okay.
And the
MSRP, you're never going to pay full price, I'm guessing, on this.
The Air Relax leg recovery system is $399.
Okay.
Sleep is free.
And sleep is free.
Now, how many people do you know who have actually purchased the Normatec sleep?
We know a couple.
Boots?
My mother.
Your mom? Does she use them?
All the time.
All the
triathletes.
She loves them.
Yep. Triathletes.
It did okay.
I'm gonna get an angry text after this podcast for sure.
I sat down on the floor here before the podcast and pulled on Matt's boots, the knockoff Normatec boots,
Totally. Sure.
and used them for about 10 minutes or so
or less. Yeah,
it's like a
feels great.
It feels great.
It's like a massage.
It's like a massage.
I like them.
But you know what's sad is like all these athletes swear by massages. Massages are on the same list of like, man, there's no evidence out there.
I would say, if somebody asked me, should I buy these boots or should I find a massage therapist I would say go find a massage
because
therapist.
they can move you through certain ranges of motion that you're not going to get with that.
Yeah, and there's a little bit better research behind actual lymphatic massage. Like there is some science behind lymphatic massage. You can actually get certified in as a physical therapist. So it's a well-studied area that I am not a specialist in, so I will not speak on the research behind it, but there is research behind what they do. Not as much recent research on Normatec, unless Normatec wants to point to something, but I doubt that as the research that lymphatic massage has behind it.
I think that for you, Lance, in a situation where you're like at a training camp and you have time to roll out and do the compression boots and get the sleep, you do all of it. And some of it might just be placebo, but we know placebo works. And it's like you do all of it. You hope your legs feel better the next day. And the science might not be there. And it's not to say one way or the other, but that it's inconclusive. Doesn't mean that it doesn't work. Right.
That's a really good way to put that, Matt.
What I like about all of these little devices and tools is that they get you to that state of rest, relaxation,
thinking about
and
recovery.
sleep.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Lance, when you're sitting there with those boots on?
I'm just
not
chilling.
moving.
You're chilling. You're sitting there doing
with your feet up almost.
Exactly.
Yes.
And does that work? I don't know. Do I want to personally spend $1,200 on it? Probably not.
13.
I'm more of like a meat. 13.
13.
Well, I was going to if it was 12, but I don't know about that.
I'm more of a meat and potato guy when it comes to your recovery. I like stuff like rest and sleep. I like proper food. I like looking at your diet. I like looking at the structure of your program and building in recovery
That's
blocks.
the important
Those
one.
are the things to me that carry the most weight. This other stuff is that little like 5%, the last little fringe part of like your recovery. But again, that's just my 2 cents. Like, it could be completely wrong. It could be missing the boat entirely. But those other things that I just mentioned, I think that's where the vast majority of your recovery happens.
Now, to toss another monkey wrench into this conversation that we can all argue about, we had a comment from 2 podcasts ago, correct? Somebody inquiring why I don't use any anti-inflammatories.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Day 3 of that training camp. You guys have now ridden 4,000 miles and 2 million feet of elevation gain, and Lance's quads are a bit burny. So, would you ever use? Do you use anti-inflammatories?
Sure.
When you're feeling rough.
Yeah.
How often do you use them in a year? would you say?
Not
Rarely.
that often.
Rarely. Yeah.
No, more than rarely. Maybe,
more than rarely.
Maybe a couple times a month.
Okay. That's probably similar to me. Or on average,
but it's
once
like
or
if
twice
I'm
a month.
really
achy,
I might take some anti-inflammatories.
So,
Advil. I take Advil.
The physical therapist in me tells people, if you're going to use anti-inflammatories, you got to use them on a cycle. So, and this is coming from my pharmacist friends, not really from me.
Is this like knock out the inflammation?
Yes.
With a certain dosage.
Certain dosage over a 2-week period, basically. You take them consistently. Now, I know most athletes use them actually most people, I think in general, use them like Lance said. I just hear most athletes using them in that fashion.
Not daily.
Yeah. Or that you would never use them in a 2-week cycle. It's I'm dead this week and I'm using them for 2-3 days maybe, would you say, roughly? Or even just one, just once?
Yeah, maybe once.
So, for me, and you have to understand, I grew up not taking no anti-inflammatories, didn't take antibiotics, so I'm coming from a biased opinion of it.
Well, and you don't have the experience of having felt what it feels like to be, to have that like soreness or achiness go away. So,
that's true.
So that's tricky. Well,
yeah.
And I think there's definitely something to be said. Like, I think if we really look at it, when you reduce inflammation by taking an anti-inflammatory, you're reducing blood flow to the area that needs it. So I think it's one of those things where it's like, the way I look at it is like, I'm hurting and I can't make it through XYZ without some pain reduction or some anti-inflammatory type situation. It's like, great, I'll use that or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. I think if you're just muscle soreness or whatever, then maybe it's good to leave them, aside and hope that you're going to have better recovery, better muscle growth because you're getting more circulation to the area that needs it.
Yeah.
That being said, I think a lot of times probably, Lance, when you're using it, it's probably the situation where it's like, I'm going to be able to get through XYZ if I take this, and if I don't, I'm not.
Well, and Lance hammers himself at some of these. Well, I mean, like the gravel events, like you're hammering yourself through those. But
it was like 4 or 5 hours a day for 5 days in a row. And when I got off the bike, I ate something, and I sat in my van with my legs up for the next 6 hours, and then I went to sleep.
Doing as much recovery as you could possibly squeeze into it. Yeah.
Hardly anything.
Yeah.
I just think sometimes it's like, if it's the difference between you being able to get on the bike the next day and not, take the anti-inflammatories, you know?
I think from my perspective, the reason that I don't take them is purely because I try to keep as much as my diet absolutely needs work. I'm sure I try to keep things I put in, take out as pure. I try to trust my body's own natural recovery process as much as possible. So I do try to think like that inflammatory process is for a reason. Yep. If I feel dead this one day, like I probably shouldn't be training right now.
That's training.
But that's different than a cycling racing season where you signed up for that 4-day race.
You're gonna
day
race.
3, you're feeling garbage. Like a triathlete, I'm racing on one day. Like I'm going to be ready on that day. But I'm not racing back to back to back half Ironmans.
What about after an Ironman race, you have nothing coming up and you are not going to race again for the rest of the season. It doesn't matter if your recovery is hindered by taking ibuprofen. Then would that be something you would consider?
No, just because I just don't.
You're never going to.
It's more of a principle thing for me at this point.
Yeah, that's true. I get it.
It's just more of a principle thing.
Yeah, I get that. It's sometimes easier just to say like I don't do these and then just not do it at all.
Yeah. I also have a naturally addictive personality, so I know that if I open the gate to some things, I'm probably going to start doing it more often. So
yeah. Well, I think that it's probably smart for you just to not do it, because if you try it, you might be like, oh, the next probably not, but like it's going to be the next time where you're like, oh, I'm sore and I know this would fix it.
Yeah.
Lance doesn't drink beer.
I don't.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I drink wine 3 times a week.
It's almost like you don't miss it.
I don't miss it. I don't know what I'm missing, and I'm not going to do it now. I've lived my whole life without it, so is it going to make my life better? Does my life does not suck. My life does not suck right now.
I think beer does not suck.
I think if you had been, maybe your life would suck more at this point.
Maybe.
Honestly. I think you not drinking beer that entire time is maybe what made your life so good.
Yeah, that's possible.
But like same idea with the approach to take that is like, Lance, why don't you just have one beer tonight?
Yeah, I just
principle.
I
mean,
it's
like
easier
totally
to say no
at this point. At a core. That's like same idea with me with antibiotics and anti-inflammatories. Same idea. Yeah.
Yep.
I've used them sparingly. Like
You've used them very sparingly in some situations.
I like my shoulder. I'm not kidding you. Hurts every single day. Like right now, I have a certain level of pain in there. It's almost like the whole like when you ice something, you get used to it. You get acclimated. I'm just used to that now. It constantly hurts. I can tell you exactly where it hurts and why, and the ranges of motion I put it through. It will hurt. I'm sure if I took some anti-inflammatory, it might help me. If I took Tylenol or Excedrin, or not Excedrin, what would it be?
Advil.
Is that the anti-inflammatory that most everybody or Aleve?
Yeah.
Probably ibuprofen is what most people do. I mean,
it would probably help me. I just don't take it, and it's just one of those things. Like I don't want to rely on something, and I don't know what the long-term effect of taking something on a very consistent basis would be.
It's a strain on your liver. That is there's research. It is a strain on your liver long term.
Yeah. Right, but I think the good news is people have been using that particular drug for a long time. So there's a lot of
it's saved millions of lives.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So there's that whole side to it too.
It's tough because I feel like the 4 of us kind of have a similar opinion on this. Like we all try to avoid it. So
I think it's like
it's harder to have a good discussion.
I do not avoid antibiotics.
Antibiotics,
and I prescribed antibiotics.
Sure.
Oh, we talking about antibiotics? Well, antibiotics are dead. Yeah.
Yeah, but anti-inflammatories, I don't shy away from them, but I don't chase after them as well. It's
Did you prescribe opioids?
Yes.
Do you feel like that was a good call or bad call?
There were some situations where
it's great.
It was absolutely needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had several patients that absolutely needed them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you had, looking back at not yourself, because you practiced at a different time than I'm practicing right now.
Ancient, really.
Well, I mean, we're talking 100, 200 years ago.
They didn't have computers back then.
We're talking prior.
There's no science.
I mean, back then they were sawing off limbs with surgery. So, but if you could look back with antibiotic and opioid, like, would you have changed anything that your community was doing at that time?
That's a good question.
But that's what the research you guys had that time.
Right.
Like, this is not an attack. I'm saying, like, would you have done something different?
Well, I know that both of those things absolutely have their place.
Mm-hmm.
There are times when they are absolutely needed, but they are both very much abused.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. They're overdone and overprescribed and overused, but there are times when they are needed, and it may save your life.
Yes.
So
when they need to be used,
yes.
they can save lives.
Yes.
The problem, at least with the opioids, is I think we found obviously when they don't need to be used, they can destroy lives,
Yes.
which is the sad part.
That is correct.
Hey, let's get out of the weeds here. Maybe get back on pace with
with actual recovery stuff.
That's good talk. I'm learning stuff here. It's good. What are some other devices that you guys maybe recommend or you use or that you think are bad for recovery?
What about diet fads?
Oh man, we could go
recovery diet fads. If we want to go down another rabbit hole.
Well, we know that there are certain foods that have anti-inflammatory properties, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
I mean, we always talk about, what do we talk about? Beet juice and stuff on here. But beet juice isn't really anti-inflammatory as much as it is like
performance
enhancing,
yeah.
Just a dense nutrient.
Yeah. It's
just a very dense
nitrate
dilation. Phytonitrates, yeah.
Like
a ton of blueberries. My house goes through blueberries like crazy.
Blueberries too, yeah.
Antioxidant.
Yep. I mean, that's good. But are there any actual devices out there that you guys like?
I'm trying to think of, well,
what do you guys think about rollers? You know, like you know, it's always one of those things where I see people are always recommending rollers, and I have been using them almost daily, a little bit, kind of on the calves and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe it's helping.
Those things are evil.
They're evil. I just don't know. I just don't know if it's hard for me to say like, yeah, this is working, or no, this is not. It's so hard to.
This is my thing with rollers.
Yeah.
So you can there is no problem with using a roller. The problem is when people try to use a roller for an area that has been chronically an issue for a long time without addressing why it has been chronically an issue for a long time. Which I'm going to be biased. Go see a physical therapist because then you can kind of assess movement dysfunction.
Well, what about foam rollers? Because PT is huge with foam rollers.
I
right?
don't use a lot of foam rolling in my treatment because I think most people I don't want to have to teach somebody how to foam roll. You can YouTube that and figure it out. It's not. There's no like hard science behind like you're foam rolling wrong. Like it's I mean, find your area, find the pressure that you can apply through there, and if it feels good, do it. But when I'm like educating somebody on what we need to do together, it's mostly on training load and movement patterns, which is different than the world of recovery, which I think foam rolling can be great at. But if that's the only thing you're doing and you think that that's going to correct like my chronic IT band that's been there for 2 years, like you need to probably try something else.
Yeah.
You think it's legit science, or you think it's bro science?
I think it's an awesome desensitization technique.
Jake, what do you think
That's
about
actually
rollers?
what I think with that. Yeah.
They have their place. I personally try them, and then I always start crying like a little baby, and then I just throw it in the corner, and dog chews on it, and I don't get back on it. I do use the stick.
Okay.
Oh, stick's great. I love the stick.
I like those because I have a little bit more.
But that's kind of the same thing, right?
Same concept.
Same exact idea.
I feel like I have a little bit more control over that.
Yeah.
Although it's sometimes kind of hard to get that right angle with the right amount of pressure, but I tolerate that. I'm just not a fan of the foam roller.
Yeah,
it's just my 2 cents.
Think of the stick as, I mean, we have those relax legs sitting over there, or my bad.
Yeah,
air relax.
Air relax.
Air relax. My bad.
Get the name right.
Anyway, but I mean that's you're putting pressure through an area. Now air relax claims that's lymphatic flow. Your stick would claim it's deep tissue massage probably. The other big one is, has everybody seen the Theragun commercials?
Yeah,
those things.
That's big.
Those are huge, right?
Those are huge. And so, I had a patient ask me, and pretty cerebral guy. He really wanted to know. He's like, why do you think that's such a craze right now?
Because it's new, and the slow-mo videos are really cool
They are
to
awesome
see.
on Instagram, aren't they? Those are some of the coolest little commercials. But you're talking about the stick feels good because it is a deep pressure, which is reforming your sensation of an area. Like literally you are reforming your sensory center of your brain when you are consistently doing deep tissue. That Theragun not only does deep tissue, it's also doing vibratory, which is another neural tract. So you're talking about multiple signals getting sent to the brain, which is why for some people, when you put the Theragun on, they'll almost like lose their mind. It's like you watch, you watch some of those reaction videos from it. It's like it's pretty crazy feeling. Yeah. I know we had a little ball that did that in the office, and I put that like on my piriformis and just about lost my mind. It was it was almost too much, to sit on for more than 15 seconds at a time.
Gotcha.
So it's anytime you put somebody through an experience like that, it's going to be something pretty intense.
So Theragun, bro science, or
I'm going to say science. No, science. Yeah. There's a reason that feels good. There's a real neurological reason that feels awesome. Yeah.
We need one. We need to get one then.
What about
I don't have one.
The E-stem units that they were very popular with within the cycling community just a year or two ago that everybody was wanting to pick up?
What was the one that Lance Armstrong was?
I don't recall. I'm sorry.
Oh, who's going to remember this? Somebody's got to remember it.
I think
somebody look it up.
The one that Lance Armstrong has been talking about?
Yeah. I think Jordan Rickards actually got one. One of our teammates,
I
Jordan.
can't remember what that one's called either, but
it's just a little E-stem unit.
Yeah. I mean, I used that when we were at one of our training camps.
Yeah.
Feels good. Would I buy one? Probably not.
Power dot.
Power
dot.
I was going to say dot something. Yeah. But I mean, you're firing the muscles. The muscles are they're moving.
Sure.
Maybe they're moving through some sort of range of motion that they wouldn't be doing otherwise if you were just sitting there. I don't know.
Do you know what's interesting? So cycling, we'll keep it just on cycling. What they used to do for recovery for cycling back in the 50s and 60s was they all had massage therapists that would travel with the teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like your good expensive teams. That's still a thing. So you're talking about a massage, which could be kind of like the Normatec boots now.
Sure.
Kind of like those. We can kind of equate it to that.
Mm-hmm.
Really even close to the E-stem units too. But what the E-stem units more do is, like Matt said, that muscular activation.
Yep.
Yeah.
They would spin down before races for a pretty long time. When I tell people to look at a recovery thing and say, can you point to something that you could be doing that's very similar to this without dropping a lot of money? You spin down after a race, go and get a massage and get 9 hours of sleep. I know that they haven't done this study between the way they were recovering in the 50s and 60s and now, because that'd be a very hard study to look at. I don't see a massive difference in the recovery. I don't think that recovery science is something that's like eons ahead of where it was at that time. I think we structure training a lot better now.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're racing 4 million times a year like they were before and riding 400 miles a day, which is probably why they're recovering better. But I think the recovery techniques, the idea behind recovery, wasn't that different.
There's no magic bullet now that we have.
I don't think
to
there's
help
a
people
magic
recover.
bullet.
And maybe it's stuff.
There's great drugs now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's maybe the only difference is the drugs have gotten more efficient, but that'd be about it.
That's a good question. For like a tour rider, I mean, recovery is everything for those guys. So,
yeah.
And they're still getting a massage each evening and spinning down after races. That's what they were doing in the 50s.
Yeah.
So
let's run around the table real quick and just talk about a few things that you guys yourselves employ for recovering, what you have found to be super helpful and beneficial for you.
Sleep.
Okay.
I mean,
I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that.
I don't think that's.
Yeah.
It's not too controversial. It's just there's just not a lot of stuff out there that can get you there.
So when you are in the throes of your Ironman training and
Sure.
you're putting in big voluminous rides, or runs or swims or
Sure.
what have you,
Yeah.
is that the first thing you do when you get home? Is go lay down, take a nap?
No, only because my family won't let me.
Yeah.
So
that's the problem that I have as well.
Yeah.
And that's the time, ideally, that needs to be done. Like a little power nap and then making sure that you're getting your good solid block of sleep at night.
Yeah. I think there are some benefits for me because I'm off to soccer or off to something else. Moving the legs and walking a little bit is probably good. And so that's that kind of active recovery stuff that we've at least touched on in the past 30 minutes. But so I think it's good to do some of the active recovery. Probably having a nap would be the best situation. It's just not an option. And so I don't think that I optimize recovery or training for that matter because family optimization is like the top priority.
Life, yep.
Yeah.
Now, if you were getting paid millions to go out there and be Mr. Pro Triathlete, I'm sure that would change a little bit, but us regular folk out here just got to roll with the punches,
getting
right?
paid the big bucks like Evan Price here to my left.
Are we getting paid? I didn't know we're getting paid yet for this.
Pro triathlete.
Don't tell him.
No,
Was I supposed to get paid?
I have had some times where I've had, enough time to take a warm bath afterwards.
Oh.
After like a cold bike ride feels good.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, I'll do that. And then
have some salt in there.
Look at you.
I haven't done that as much, but it's definitely something that
I use that. Yeah.
Yeah. Believe in for sure. That feels good. I mean, again, stuff that feels good, you know, probably going to help as far as whether that's, legit science or bro science. I don't know. Sitting on the couch with the air recovery boots on. Sure. Again, you're sitting on the couch.
Get you to that rest and relaxation state.
Yeah.
Evan, how about you?
I do basically nothing for recovery.
Yeah.
Go to work, huh?
Yeah, that's about it.
Well, what about on a Saturday or something
Sunday.
where you don't have anything to do after
I go and
your
die
hard
on the
workout?
couch, basically.
You go die on the couch.
That's
which is
it.
just
Yep.
rest.
Are you fueling yourself right after your workout?
Oh, Cassie's going to laugh at this. I don't eat well after work. I usually come back after, like, let's say when I'm in season doing the 8 or 9 hour days. I'll come back and just like down a bag of chips and then just fall asleep on the couch. Oh, I'm not like.
I know.
And then I will eat.
Cassie was literally talking about this last night. She was just like, he just snacked a whole bunch and crashed.
I'll grab like 2 big handfuls of spinach out of the refrigerator. This drives Cassie crazy, and I'll just like eat 2 big handfuls of spinach, go on the couch, and just I don't remember this. I just pass out. So
Popeye action there, huh?
Yeah.
A handful of spinach is strange.
If I didn't have that whole job thing that we all have, like. Maybe my recovery would look different.
Well,
but I'm not going to use that as an excuse. I probably could improve that.
You probably could improve that recovery system. The bag of chips, it's hard to say.
I figure that I can ride this wave for another couple more years before my body's going to completely revolt against that. So.
Let me ask you a quick question, just to kind of springboard off of what Matt was saying, is like the rest and the sleep and that part. You do a lot of your training during the week before you go to work, correct?
And after.
Well, and after work. Yeah, I guess you do that. Yeah. So you're really not finding a lot of time for that.
Zero time.
That recovery rest. I
probably stand like 80% of the day, probably.
Which might be better than sitting.
I think so.
Some of both would probably be ideal.
I think it's great that I stand all day. I think it builds. You talk to like ultra runners. They always talk about time on feet. I got a lot of time on feet. Lance knows that. Lance, you were standing what? 90% of your dental career. You were hunched over 90% of your dental career.
I was sitting. I was always sitting. I never. Yeah.
Oh, you were in a hunched over squat position.
I was hunched over squat position. Yeah,
your poor back.
That's why my back is ruined.
I was about to say. Got you ready for cycling. Yeah. You basically had to hang out in that position all day.
Yeah, that's right.
So you kind of being an anomaly because you're training all over the place and you work crazy hours and you're still young. You're going to recover.
That's what I'm saying. Well. I'm not sure how many more years I got left to this, but
you do work with some athletes and you do help them with the recovery process because as a coach, that's something that's really important to them. Do you ever get into just discussing when their workouts might be so that they can optimize their training schedule so that they know that after my ride, my run, my whatever it might be, I have the ability to go and find some of that downtime where I can kind of kick my legs up, recover, take a nap if possible. I mean, do you look at their whole schedule?
I care a lot more about the patients and athletes that I coach now, their recovery than my own recovery. And I know it because if they're seeing me twice a week for PT, I can tell when they need to recover.
Sure.
They come in, there's a mood to it. There's a real fatigue in the voice. I'm much more sensitive towards making sure that they're recovering because a lot of these people are going through active injuries too.
Sure.
Like you're talking about somebody who's training for a marathon. It's not just the training. It is, hey, you've got 3 kids and a job and, a husband too, or a wife. And there's a lot, like everybody here sitting at this table knows there's a lot of balancing that goes on there. So I always use the analogy, and I've mentioned on this podcast before, is that it's 1 cup. Stress in life is 1 cup. You don't have 6 cups for stress.
Yeah,
Lance has said you can juggle 3 balls, but not 4. Lance,
yeah, I couldn't do 4.
I use Lance's quote. I use that analogy all the time with my patients, and because I've got people training for marathons and triathlons that need to understand that in their first couple of years getting into that. So I think I care a lot more about the recovery of my patients than I do my own. That's probably why I'm not fast.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly. It's probably why I'm not doing great through big race blocks. So yeah.
How about you, Lance?
Anecdotally, I seem to do well just sitting in the hot tub afterwards.
Yeah? There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
At training camp, we had lots of days back to back that were very difficult, and the only really recovery things other than sleep that I did was I got in the hot tub every day.
You did, yeah.
And
I backflipped off of it.
Yep.
and I used the stick a couple times, but mostly the hot tub is like my jam.
It's my jam.
It's awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's and this is. I hope that nobody listening to this thinks that any of us are like talking down recovery just in like recovery tech and all. If you have something that's like, hey, I love my foam roller, and to heck with you for saying that foam rolling isn't scientifically proven. If it works for you, it works for you. My question is with people looking at expensive options, make sure you consider. Is there something else I could be doing, like sleeping more?
Yeah.
What about going to a place that maybe provides these expensive options for you to utilize in your regimen?
Where you didn't have to buy them yourself. You could pay
people
a small
would pay
fee
for
to
them.
use it.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's a good idea as long as people aren't like going broke doing it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, I can, don't expect your world to change.
No.
But at the same time, it's like if you have the disposable income and you can hop in and you're going to relax for an extra hour of your day, I'd say, pay that $15 or $10 or whatever and enjoy your time. with, like, again, we're talking about potentially like a Normatec pair of boots or something like that, right?
Yeah. What about a float tank? You guys seen those?
The
you
float
guys seen
tanks.
float tanks?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I've never tried one.
Neither have I, but it sounds terrifying.
I know, me too. I have friends that swear by it. Swear by it.
Really?
Yeah. Again, anecdotal evidence.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's the other thing is these are very hard things to study. So that people don't think that like you don't like we haven't looked there. You can look and Google as much research as you want for this stuff. It's going to be very scattered research. And the reason it's scattered research is because research does well when you can create a normal and basically a placebo effect. So in these things, it's it's almost impossible to control the placebo. How do you placebo a Normatec?
Or
use a
sleep
different
tank
algorithm?
where you're, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's.
What about you, Jake?
I mean, I kind of went through my stuff that I
Have you tried the float thing?
I have not tried the float.
Let's do it. Let's take the podcast on the road.
Let's go for a float.
There's one in Seattle.
Float.
Yeah. There's also
there's one over by Costco.
Is
it's
there
called
now?
Floatwell. Yeah.
Floatwell.
Floatwell. We should try it. It's close by.
Just to kind of
it sounds terrifying to me. I'm slightly claustrophobic and have a fear of drowning, so I don't think
Lance, you'd probably have to put pants on.
Dang it.
Me and Lance would just get more stressed in there, and then we would.
Yeah.
Food would be the biggie for me, other than the sleep that Matt alluded to. Making sure that you're replenishing the vital nutrients that your body's going to need, so that you can get yourself well recovered. That's from
chips.
Like chips, yeah. Build up those glycogen stores, right? Through chips. Plenty of amino acids in there too, right?
Exactly.
And then just really, a lot of people, I think that they think, all right, got to go out, got to hammer, got to go just beat my training program, got to go hard all the time, Lance Epler, and race all the time. I really tell people you need to recover a whole heck of a lot more than you actually are. And I also tell people that during the course of your week, sometimes you've got to go slow to get faster. I mean, not every ride needs to be, a zone 5, just threshold going out there and killing yourself. That zone 2 that you can go out there and just kind of log those 2, 3, 4 hour rides.
That's active recovery.
It's active recovery, but
what if somebody passes me in Swift?
Then
How do I
go berserk, man.
How do I deal with that situation?
You go berserk.
You make sure they don't pass you, right? Okay, good. Can I recover at 400 watts staying with them?
Put some blinders on this thoroughbred across the table for me so he stops racing everything that goes flying by him. Yeah. Well, if we have you in erg mode, right, you can't go chase that.
That's
down.
why I use erg mode now, is because I don't
can't
trust myself on Swift anymore.
So, anything else you guys want to add to this conversation?
I've got a hot seat question that's going to be related to this.
Yeah, do it.
So can I do the first hot seat question?
For the hot seat that's coming up in our next segment?
Did I just ruin the next segment?
Kind of, but
I'm sorry.
The premise behind the hot seat section was not to talk about training stuff there.
But it's kind of related, but not really.
Okay.
Don't
well,
look. You can't read my handwriting
let's
over
jump
here, Lance.
to our bonus topic for the day, you guys.
Bonus.
The Halloween hot seat.
Halloween hot seat.
Halloween hot seat.
We don't have a cool, hot seat sort of thing.
We do need some sort of,
Halloween hot seat.
Ooh, spooky. Go ahead, Evan. What's your question?
Okay. And now I know we have talked about intermittent fasting at this before. The answer's
intermittent fasting. Okay.
Lance always got his answer. Okay. Would you all consider a 1-day 24-hour fast once every 2 weeks or week as a part of your training regimen during the off-season?
Would I consider it? Hell yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Jake?
Sure. I've done it before.
I know Jake's
24 hours is not that hard.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to a whole bunch of people and I'm like, you'd be surprised. You can go 2 or 3 days without eating and your body doesn't fall apart. People are like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. Humans have been doing this for a long time.
In the Mormon church, we
Oh,
fast once a month, 24
Really?
hours.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't know that either.
The first
What
Sunday,
day is that
the
typically?
first
First
Sunday of every month, we fast for 24 hours from the night before to the day after, and the money you would have spent on those meals, we donate to the church, and they use those fast offerings to help whoever needs help in the church or the
I spend
community or the
$100 a
world.
day on food, so I should probably be doing that.
Yeah.
Too.
Do you find it challenging?
I did when I was 12.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But not anymore.
So have you been very consistent with that since you were 12? That's awesome.
Will you fast on Halloween, Evan?
I've been doing Thursday fasts for the last 3 weeks now.
That will be Halloween, my friend.
It'll be Halloween. Yeah.
So you take every Thursday off of eating?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You know what's interesting? I thought work was going to be a lot harder. Work was easier.
Yeah.
Your mind's engaged.
Yep.
You're doing things.
I felt very.
Yeah.
I didn't feel moody at any point.
What about
I felt
coffee?
great.
You skip coffee?
No, I drink coffee.
With
That's where me
cream
and
and
Lance.
stuff?
This is where Lance is a tougher human being
Black?
than me. Black. Oh yeah, no, straight black. It's black.
Yeah, because I think when you're taking in a lot of creamer, like it's half creamer, half coffee, that's a lot of calories. Right
I also
there.
still. Would you guys train on your fasted day? I know Lance, you almost always don't train on Sunday, so you haven't trained on a fast day typically, right?
But if I've been doing intermittent fasting, I'll train. I'll train fasted.
Intermittent fast.
Yeah.
I think you train fasted. I think when you get into 3-hour bike rides is
Yeah.
where it starts to get to this point where you're like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Like you hit that bonking pit, which is actually okay for your body to do, but it's not going to feel great. So
No.
Lance, Halloween hot seat.
Halloween hot seat. What's your favorite scary movie?
Ooh.
Okay.
I've got one.
I got it.
It's probably the last one I watched, which
Go.
was when I was a kid, which turned me off to all scary movies, Poltergeist.
Poltergeist.
I watched that as a
Classic.
kid. I was young. I was pretty young. I was probably maybe in like third or fourth
Absolutely
grade, and I
terrifying
watched
movie.
that, and it scared the crap out of me. And at that point in time, I made up my mind I don't like scary movies anymore. So I've purposely avoided just about all of them.
Yep.
Throw out some scary movies, and I'll tell you if I've seen it or not. But there's not
Friday
too
the
many.
13th.
I haven't seen any of them.
None.
I haven't either.
Yeah, just not my jam, man.
I am a movie buff. I like movies.
You're not a horror film person?
I do not like horror movies.
I think I used to like them more, and now I don't watch them at all.
My kids my
They're
daughters
into
just
it?
love them.
I think Nightmare on
They're
Elm
great.
Street was very scary. So the same kind
Never
of thing
seen
where it's
it.
like it was very scary for me as a kid, and so if kind of makes it your favorite in some ways.
I get to make a millennial comment now.
Oh yeah, you do.
Your guys' horror movies sucked.
Oh, they were.
They were all terrible.
Here's what you don't understand.
I'm gonna get
is
so much hate mail.
They
now.
were like a lot of these films and the style that they were made in were like stupid bad. Like they were funny and bad,
campy.
They weren't
campy.
meant to be what they are now. No, the stories of like Stephen King books are terrifying.
Right.
The movies at that time didn't do it justice like they do now, because I understand that obviously the cinematography is much better now.
Freddy Krueger, he is in your nightmares and he becomes real and kills
it's a
you.
terrifying idea. The movie itself takes
sleep.
all the fear away
Okay,
from
so Captain Millennial, what is a good one?
Captain Millennial.
Yeah, what's your favorite?
You
The
guys
Saw
like
series. The Saw
Saw
series.
series.
is
That's the
awesome.
one where they sewed mouths to
terrible.
beeholes and
No. The storyline is awesome.
The story. I've
The
seen the
storyline
first
is very
one,
good. The gore,
and then I never saw another one.
Once you get past the gore, the storyline is excellent. It's a great storyline.
Don't know.
Pass.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
It's great.
I think my favorite scary movie is one I probably saw recently was Get Out.
Oh, that was a great one.
2017 movie by Jordan Peele. It was
Jordan Peele's so good.
It was suspenseful and
Didn't see it.
scary.
Matt, did you say what yours was?
Yeah, I would say Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on
Yeah,
Elm Street.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. Awesome. Matt, what's your Halloween hot seat?
What are you guys wearing for Halloween? What are you wearing?
No pants.
Jake, will you wear anything?
We've got these tubs with all of our Halloween stuff in it. It's got all kinds of
Will
costumes.
you grab something?
Yeah, I'll grab something other. I was like Elf on a Shelf a couple of years ago.
Oh,
It was
nice.
kind of funny. My wife
That
and I
is
both dressed up as Elf on a Shelf.
Will you go out and trick or treat with the kids?
No, that is my wife's duty, and I stay
then you
home
stay
and
home
I
and hand
hand
out
out the candy. As a matter of fact, Epler was here with me last year. You and Brandy were here on
yeah, that's right.
on Halloween. You guys were just hanging
cool.
out when we were handing out candy to kids.
Hey, we don't
Oh,
get.
you should come over to one of the houses to do stuff.
My house, I have
You
a
don't
big
get-
yard and
yeah.
a big gate that says "Get out, stay away, you loser jerks."
Or
and so,
Piper the Wonder Dog will attack you.
So we don't ever get trick or treaters. Our neighborhood just doesn't get them.
Well, maybe you should take the sign that says "Get out, losers away." Maybe you get more trick or
There's
treaters.
just
Get
a
off
big
my
scary
lawn.
gate that says "Don't come in." Yeah, maybe we might come over and help you hand out
Yeah,
stuff.
I know we're doing like crock pot type stuff in our neighborhood, so there should be a lot of fun stuff.
Matt always
going
has
on.
a party down
There's
there.
always a party
It's
in our
the
neighborhood.
cul-de-sac party.
It's the sack party.
It's a sack party.
Oh,
It's a
I'm gonna
sack
stay
party.
home. What was the question? The costumes. Who's wearing what?
I don't even.
Dang it! I was
What are you gonna
hoping I was gonna look. I don't know.
Nothing?
I don't. Well, I mean, I was a rain cloud on Saturday. I dressed up in all black, and I was supposed to carry around a squirt bottle, but I forgot the squirt bottle, which meant I was just dressed in all black.
Nailed it.
That's like me right now.
I know.
Nailed it. I'm also
I like
wearing
it.
all black.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me and Matt.
All you gotta do is carry around a
Kindred.
squirt bottle, and you can be a rain
Yeah.
cloud. But yeah.
Good. Lance, what are you gonna be?
I have not thought beyond my
Halloween
homecoming dress.
Sorry, homecoming.
Yeah.
Homecoming queen.
Run with that theme, buddy.
Maybe
Homecoming queen on a bicycle. Just ride a bicycle
So,
around.
Lance, you would hand out candy, or you're just going to go somewhere? Evan, are you going to hand out candy? What are you going to do for
Nobody's
Halloween?
going to go to my apartment.
No one goes.
My
Yeah, they
apartment's
will.
in like a creepy crawl. No, like last year nobody knocked
Nobody
on
came?
The, well, actually, I wasn't there, so I wouldn't know. But the first year, nobody came.
We should podcast on Halloween.
We could.
While the kids are coming over and have kids on.
No, Matt's going to be at the sack party.
Sack
Oh, that's
party.
right.
Yeah.
You can be Matt on location.
Maybe we should go to the sack party.
Party in my sack, man. Or the podcast from the sack. Yeah.
We can work on the wording.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll probably do, maybe just keep the sheriff theme going and go with that. But I'm pretty much, I'm having this small procedure.
Matt.
Lieutenant Dangle.
Okay.
But I'm having a small procedure on my Achilles on that day. So it's hydrodissection. We can talk about this whenever.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were going to
covering a little bit.
Peg leg
So I may be,
might be-
peg leg.
it might
The
be
carbon fiber
feet
peg
up.
leg. It
Was
might
this the thing that
be-
you had mentioned previously?
We
When
might
were
have
talking
talked about
this
it
a little
in
bit
the
ago.
past.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's one of those things where I might be not doing a lot of walking around with kids. I might just be handing out candy or party podcast in the sack.
Or podcast party.
Party podcast in the sack.
All right, last question. Ready?
Go.
What candy are you most likely to binge on?
Candy corn.
Candy corn.
No. What?
Yes.
Where did you come from?
Everybody hates me for
Millennials.
this. Candy corn. I love candy corn. No millennial likes candy corn.
Okay, you're right.
That's like
Nobody
a
likes
1920s.
Grandpa Price, man. Grandpa Price.
Candy corn is
You know what's
delicious.
good? Those Reese's cups. Oh my gosh, they're good. Chocolate and peanut butter.
Yeah.
It's a killer combo.
That's a problem.
Yeah, we all agreed on that, but remember, there's a chocolate and peanut butter and jelly. Those things all go great together, and then there's Evan with bikes and Speedos.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah, chocolate.
Is that a good recovery food over there? Chocolate and
Did you guys finish with your candy that you would binge on?
No, I don't. I think you're the
Did
only
you?
one that said. Well, Evan said
okay.
candy corns. What's yours, Lance?
Go, Lance.
Milky Ways or Sour Patch Kids.
Okay.
Sour Patch
I know
Kids.
how
Nice.
to, know where to find you.
I'm
Good.
probably going to side with Matt, but in a strong, almost high. I'm going to say Butterfinger.
Butterfinger?
Nice.
Yeah, I love me some
Butterfinger.
I like
Butterfinger.
choice.
Snickers. If you're just talking about like the bars, like I don't know. You said Milky Way.
Yeah, I like Milky Way. I don't
That's
like
good.
peanuts.
I like to
both-
have these
Three
friends and we could all like
Musketeers.
trade up.
Yeah.
We could trade candies after
Those
we
are
go out
better
trick or treating.
frozen, if you ask me. Do you ever
Milky
try?
Ways?
Yeah, frozen Milky Way.
Three
and Snickers.
Musketeers, the king size.
jeez.
Oh
So
my
good.
God! When I was a
No.
kid, if
What?
you got
Who
one of
are
those.
you?
You like your
You
paydays
got
too?
it. No, the
Nobody
Three
likes
Musketeers.
Three Musketeers.
Three Musketeers.
That's trade bait. That's the
That is-
crap you
oh
give
my
away.
God.
But do you guys realize all four of us had like different chocolate bars,
Yeah.
so we could all just swap around?
But I don't want your garbage. I don't. You take.
You do understand this?
Candy corns
This is
in
why I
your-
loved Halloween, is because anybody who
Trade
got
up.
candy corn or Three Musketeers, I got all of them.
You
so-
got all of it.
Nice.
I did love Snickers too, so I would just take everybody else's Snickers.
I like Snickers.
Before we
They
get
were
into a
great.
fight here, one last thing, Lance, go.
I got nothing.
Nice.
I'm ending it.
Done.
Evan, one last thing.
I was hoping Lance had something, so I had a second to think. I got nothing. Go, Matt.
Dude.
Bam. All right, Matt, what you
Mine,
got?
I'm easy. I have so many video things coming out soon. I think this week I'm at least gonna post one or two videos. One is probably gonna be like something about 1,000 subscribers. Maybe do some sort of like give out some stickers kind of stuff.
Sweet.
Yeah, super cool. Super excited about that. Also, I've been doing this coaches interview thing, so I've got some of those that I could put out. So pretty cool.
Maybe I can give you some stuff to kind of up the ante on the old giveaway.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay, that'd be fun.
I actually
That'd be
do have
fun.
one last thing. I reached out to the Matt LeGrand, international pop star.
Did you?
For
Oh,
Matt.
did you really?
Yeah, I reached out.
Oh, wait.
From
did you
the Matt
as
LeGrand
me?
station.
That's
Yes,
right,
yes,
yeah.
I did it from the Matt LeGrand on, I think, his Christmas song.
So he commented as me on the other Matt LeGrand's YouTube channel.
Did you hijack his YouTube? Yeah.
Which is good fun.
Please
And
tell me he responded.
I don't know.
We're going to have to check today to see
I
if
don't
he did
think so.
respond.
I don't think he's responded.
It was from his Christmas song from last year.
Which is glorious.
Just an incredible song.
I mean, I don't know how this guy doesn't have 1 million subscribers.
He's only at 600 or 700
Yeah.
right now, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's. Yeah.
I think Matt LeGrand Triathlon, Matt LeGrand reaching out to him will boost his following. I think it will.
possible.
He's going to see a quick spike.
I want to see a collaboration there. There
There
has
could
to
be.
be
That's
something
exactly
on
what
there.
I was.
think
I was
we're
thinking
gonna-
for another Christmas song, Matt and him can get together.
We're gonna sing together and then
Yes.
race.
Exactly.
We'll race and sing at the same time. I think.
Excellent. My one last thing is stay tuned. Very soon, you will be getting an announcement for the Bikes for Kids this year, which
Oh,
is
good.
coming up the first weekend in December, which will be December 7th.
Okay.
The goal, drum roll please, is going to be to raise $10,000 this year.
Wow.
It's a lofty goal, but I think we can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we will put out more information. By we, I mean me. We'll be putting out more information soon.
Okay.
And we've got a lot more organization, a lot more fun stuff to put into it this year. So I think that we can get there. I think that the community at large is going to rise to the occasion, and they're going to see all the good stuff that can be done with that money. And we will play Matt's video that he made last year over and over and over again, just to show them how cool of a process it is. So fun.
The ride will be December 7th.
Yes.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Yep. On that note, thank you guys. Everybody else, you guys have a safe and fun Halloween. We will see you next week. Bye for now.